The journey for Ichigo and company would continue into the Soul Society. They had been split into 4 different groups, if you will. Ichigo, or whatever personality was assigned to him at that moment, along with Ganju, Uryu and Orihime, Chad and Ginjo, and Yoroichi, who would be making a team all unto itself. They were in different parts of the Serite, as Soul Reapers were gathering together in the manhunt for the Ryoka that had broken into their hallowed grounds. Safe to say, things were only continuing to become more and more extraordinary for all of the Soul Reapers involved, as a horde of them would chase our fellow heroes all throughout the Serite. Among them, as Ichigo and Ganju were moving, they came across a rather shy and timid Soul Reaper, who didn't really seem to be much of a Soul Reaper at all, shown by his lack of a weapon, a Zanpakuto. Instead, the boy carried along a knapsack of medical supplies as well as a broom, and he was just doing some cleaning when Ichigo and Ganju came across his path. The boy's name was Hanataro Yamada. He was a part of Squad 4, and down on their tails was an elite members of Squad 8. At least that's what they thought of themselves. In an act of desperation, Ichigo and Ganju would take Hanataro hostage. After all, they were all dressed the same, so it was obvious that they would have to work together, right? Well, if that's what Ichigo believed, he was sorely mistaken. This primarily because, even though they were all Soul Reapers, as they would come to find out, there was much more of class and divide than you might think. For example, just because all Soul Reapers shared the common goal of fighting against Hollows and maintaining balance, it didn't mean that there wasn't any form of pride amongst them. No, every company thought that they were the best. Every squad thought that they were God's gift to the Soul Society. Because of that, there was often times where one squad would look down on another. And sadly enough, Squad 4 were considered the runts of the squads. Primarily because most of their members were non-combatants. The people who did the cooking, the cleaning, the medical work, and were basically first aid for all those who were real fighters. So, when Ichigo took Hanataro hostage, they didn't feel any sort of loyalty to the boy. In fact, they would have preferred if Ichigo had just killed him, would have saved them the trouble. Now, of course, while Hanataro often tried to foster a sense of peace and harmony, even he knew that these sentiments rang true. Because of that, he found himself being taken along against his will by Ganju, much to Ichigo's surprise, as before long the group would find themselves in the underground sewage facilities of the Soul Society. Because yes, even in the Soul Society, you're always one bad meal away from a toilet. But as they were underground though, as Hanataro came to learn of his captors, knowing of their purpose and what they were trying to do, he was willing to offer his services. "You're trying to save Miss Rukia, right? I can lead you to her." "Huh? What are you talking about, kid?" Ganju would ask. "I can help you, really. You want to find Miss Rukia. I know a way to get to the Tower of Penance." "That's great and all," Ichigo would say. "But why would you want to help us? I mean, we are still your enemies, and we did kidnap you." "Well, that might be true, but..." Hanataro would look down. "I don't think Miss Rukia deserves to die." "Huh? You don't say," Ichigo would ask. "I mean, in the end, I'm just the cleaning boy for Squad 4. It's not like I really have an opinion that matters around here. But surely she had to have had a reason for doing what she did. I just don't think it calls for death. Even so, there are things that just don't seem to be adding up at all." "Adding up?" Ganju would ask. "What are you talking about?" Ichigo asked in continuation. Well, normally, a prisoner is supposed to be given 25 days. 25 days before the execution. But now, it was already moved up to only 14. Huh? There's regulations? Of course there are, Hanataro would say. There's always been a custom, a way of doing things. We don't just execute people willy-nilly. But I've had this unsettling feeling. Nothing that's been done with Rukia seems to be right. Like days just being pushed up for no reason. Her being moved around from cell to cell. Normally there's some level of decorum. Technically, she would still be in general holding before she even moves to the Tower of Repentance. But now she's already there. So you're saying that they're expediting her execution? Ichigo would ask. It would seem that way. I mean, I don't know why, but it's almost as if, for whatever reason, they're in a hurry to execute her. She must have done something really bad then, Ganju would chime in before Ichigo elbowed him in the gut. Oh, what was that for? She didn't do anything, Ichigo said. But still, why are they trying to push for her execution so soon? It doesn't add up. This left Ichigo with more questions than answers, as Hanataro would lead them through the underground. In the meantime, Captain Mayuri was on his own trail. He had sent his squad to go and find the Ryoka, because, as a scientist, he believed that whatever they were capable of, it had to be something extraordinary, something worth researching, right? Besides, they had managed to defeat Ikkaku, a pristine member of Squad 11, so it meant that they weren't complete scrubs. Not to mention they survived their fight with Gin Ichimaru, although that was still debatable. But, as a scientist, he had to hypothesize. If there's actually a possibility that these Ryoka were capable enough of standing against Gin Ichimaru, then that means they're quite formidable. More formidable than we ever would have thought. But still, sir, Nemu would ask, don't you think that we should tread cautiously in dealing... Oh, shut up, you damned bucket of bolts! Worrying about caution. Caution is what behests and stops at the halt of science and everything that we wish to understand. No, now is not the time to be cautious. Now is the time for caution to be thrown to the wayside where it belongs. And speaking of which, you, Captain Mayuri, Ikkaku would say. Yes, I must say, it's quite a shock to see that such a pristine member of Squad 11 would be here in failure and shame. Your enemy even left you alive. I can tell it must be eating you on the inside. There's no need to rub it in, sir. I don't care for such trivial things. The only thing that matters to me is getting information on the Ryoka. You fought them firsthand, so you should be able to tell me what I need to know. I'm sorry. All I know is that I was defeated soundly. I don't really have anything else to tell you. What was that? I do believe that you might want to reconsider. I know that you might be a bald-headed dimwit, but even you aren't that stupid. Whatever information you have, it could be of some use. And I am a captain. You will show me my respect and answer my questions. What do you want to know? Their birthday? Favorite color? Perhaps I could tell you their favorite food or TV show, if that helps. Why, you insolent little... As Mayuri raised his hand, it would be caught in the air by Kinpachi, captain of Squad 11. Now wait just a moment, Mayuri. But the last time I checked, I'm the damn captain of Squad 11. So who in the hell gave you permission to dish out punishment to my subordinates? Zaraki! If your questions are done, you can get the hell out of here. And if you still want to raise a hand, why don't you raise it to me? We can go outside and we can settle this right now if you want. Let me go. I have more pressing matters to deal with than fighting with a battle-hardened beast. Come now, Nemu. Yes, Captain Mayuri. You know something, don't you? Kenpachi would ask Ikkaku. Of course. But he's not my captain, so I don't have to tell him anything. You're damn right. But you better have told me. Is he strong? Quite strong. Believe he's one of the strongest of the group. What can he do? This might sound crazy, but apparently he has multiple personalities. Personalities? What? Is he from the loony bin or something? No. These personalities all have their own unique powers and abilities. I fought against one. There was another that's a Shinigami, like us. But the other one, he was something of an armored warrior, like a knight. He could channel the power of the moon in his sword. The moon? Who the hell is this guy? I'm not sure, but I know the name of the Shinigami. His name is Ichigo. Ichigo Kurosaki. Ichigo, Kenpachi said with a grin. In the meantime, Hinataro would lead Ichigo and Ganju through the undergrounds. The dim lights that lit the underground sewage system would flicker on and off, as Hinataro would guide them. As Ichigo walked forward, every time the light came on and off, it felt like there was a switch. Until one moment, the lights would turn off. And when they turned back on, Ichigo wasn't standing there anymore. But instead, it was someone else. Another man dressed in a three-piece white suit, with polished white shoes, white gloves, and a white stitched mask, with the symbol of the crescent moon on his forehead, and a bow slung on his back. Who are you? The name is Ezekiel. Ezekiel Nakamura. No need to worry, I am an ally of yours and of Ichigo. Oh, what, you changed again? I can feel it. Feel what? Ganju would ask. He's close. As they moved one of the manhole covers and made their way to the outside, there was a fog. Near it, in the far distance, there were a flight of stairs that led to another portion of the Serite. There! If we move on straight ahead, we should be able to reach her in no time. What? What's the matter? Ganju asked. Far off in the distance, the fog cleared just enough to see that there was a Soul Reaper sitting there waiting. His hair pulled back and spiked on the end, with markings on his forehead, along with a visor. It's the lieutenant of Squad 6. Lieutenant? It's Lieutenant Renji Abarai. So, I had a feeling you'd be here, Stitchface. I could smell your aura from a mile away, Ezekiel said. You were waiting for me. I was waiting for the Soul Reaper. Ichigo, right? Tell him to come out. Or are you gonna keep playing games? There's no games here, my friend. You won't be dealing with Ichigo Kurosaki, Ezekiel Nakamura, or Mr. Knight to you. Quincy Extraordinaire at your service. Look, I told you, I'm not playing these games! Renji pulled out his Zanpakuto, swinging the blade straight towards Mr. Knight, only for it to be caught with the bow and a roundhouse kick catching Renji's blunt end of the blade, sending him back. And I thought I told you, Ezekiel said. Ichigo Kurosaki won't be coming out. He has a lot more better things to do and to prepare for than fight some lowly Soul Reaper with a grudge. Besides, I've got my own grudge with you. You see, if Byakuya hadn't gotten involved, I think we all know who would have won that fight. So that's what this is about? You're still worried about that fight in the human world? You're damn right I am. I told you once, Renji, and I'll tell you again. I'm not like any Quincy you will ever face. I am the number one. The one Quincy who's going to kick your ass. You know what? Whatever. I don't really give a damn. You can call yourself Ichigo. You can call yourself Ezekiel. You can call yourself Bozo the Clown for all I care. All that matters is that you're right where I want you. I'm gonna kill you. And I'm gonna enjoy doing it. Don't go making promises you can't keep, Ezekiel said. It ain't a promise. It's a guarantee. I hope you can hear me in there, Ichigo. I don't know why you chose to drag your ass here, acting like all of this isn't your fault. The reason why Rukia is going to die is because of you. It's all your fault. And not only do you have the audacity to bring your sorry, poor excuse of a Soul Reaper, of a man, into my home, you don't even have the balls to face me. You want to hide behind a Quincy of all things. You should consider yourself lucky, Ezekiel said. And why's that? Because how much more embarrassing would it be when you have to go back to your captain with your tail tucked between your legs and tell him that you got beat by a substitute Soul Reaper who's only been doing this for a few months? A rookie making a lieutenant look like an amateur. I wonder how far you'll be demoted. Hell, you probably won't even be able to clean up the shit with Squad 4. Hey, I resent that, Hanataro would say. You got a big mouth, you know that? I'm gonna enjoy hearing you scream. Prepare yourself. Ezekiel drew his bow, ready for action. Now, roar! Zabimaru! Renji Zanpakuto would transform into a Shikai. The sun beginning to set over the horizon of the Serite. Renji Abarai, Lieutenant of Squad 6. Ezekiel Nakamura, the Quincy Mr. Knight. Two fighters fueled by grudge and ego. And in the end, one would be broken. This concludes Bleach Midnight. What if Ichigo was MoonKnight? Season 1, Part 5. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. And stay tuned tomorrow as we continue with Bleach Midnight. What if Ichigo was MoonKnight? Season 1, Part 6, the Season 1 mid-finale. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.